When I started using pills, I was 15. I just took them and I fell in love.
Everyone in high school does it. It's just like a thing to do in high school.
I had thoughts of robbing a pharmacy.
By all appearances, they are unlikely drug addicts from loving homes in well-to-do neighborhoods. But these kids are among the more than 3 million teens who admit to having abused prescription drugs. Many, like Megan, get their fix from the family medicine cabinet, where she found OxyContin, an opiate prescribed for chronic pain, and one of the most abused prescription drugs in America.
My mom had had surgery and she had them in the cabinet, took them, she didn't notice. 2 weeks later, I had already gotten to the point where I was doing them 24/7.
How easy is it to get prescription pills?
Some kids find a way like to somehow get a hold of like a prescription, like the paper to give to the doctors, and would go to several different doctors and just get a couple bottles.
How much would you use? How often would you use it?
Every day, and it varies.
Every day?
Yeah, every day. Roxy's, OxyContin 80s, Xanax, Klonopin.
You could be a pharmacist.
Yeah, probably.
Although these kids tried to hide it, their addictions were eventually identified, and they are currently receiving treatment.
Somewhere along the way, you need to figure out how it is that you're going to stay clean when you get out of here.
How did your parents not know you were high?
I would make up excuses, like if I started to vomit because I was like too high, I would just be like, oh, I'm sick, I ate something bad, something like that.
And they believed you?
Yeah, I think my mom kind of wanted to believe me.
Prescription drugs, why do you think that's growing in popularity?
Easier access. It's almost like a safer way to get it because you don't have to go to like the corner.
That sense of security has led to an epidemic.
The abuse of pharmaceutical drugs is up around 9% over just last year. The teens who abuse prescription drugs for non-medical purposes, they did it before the age of 15.
In an effort to reduce pill abuse and theft, the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration will hold its first nationwide prescription drug take-back tomorrow. People can safely dispose of unwanted medication at more than 3,000 sites around the country.
There are parents out there that say, not my kid, no way.
I would say don't blow it off. I mean, they're everywhere.
It can happen to anyone. There's no like person or kid out there that like has like a bubble around them saying like they'll never do drugs. Like,
you can't just stop. It's not possible just to stop. You can't do it on your own.
Jeff's addiction story began 2.5 years ago when he was hurt in a car accident. Doctors prescribed narcotic painkiller oxycodone and anti-anxiety drug Xanax. He was eager to get back to work and says he leaned too much on his drugs. And now, every day, he takes more than double the original dosage.
12 pain pills a day.
With Xanax.
With 10 Xanax a day on some days.
Yes, I have.
So some days you're taking 22 pills.
Yes. Make one phone call, they prescribe them, I pick them up.
But these doctors have any idea of how much you're taking?
They do not call me in. They do not ask me any questions. They fulfill my prescriptions.
Nick Carderas is clinical director at the Dunes Treatment Center in upscale East Hampton, New York. He's troubled that in 20 years, prescriptions for pain narcotics have tripled to 210 million per year.
Is there a rise in pain or a rise to our intolerance of pain? Because I can't, in good conscience, as an academic, as a researcher, accept the notion that we have 3 times more pain over the last 20 years.
In 2010, college-educated pill addicts seeking treatment hit a record high, 17.5%. But many more white-collar addicts refuse to get help, like Jeff.
I pretty much work and I come home. I've settled down to a life of doing nothing.
I mean, everything is telling you, stop.
The signs are there. All the signs are there.
There seems to be no accountability. That is, not by the doctors, not by the system,
or by
not
me.
By you.
You're absolutely right. And I realize that.
He won't ask his real estate employer for help, afraid of losing everything.
I manage multi-million-dollar assets. I cannot leave these properties to take a leave to get over this. It's just not possible.
When we're talking about higher functioning and more successful type of addicts, their excuses are more readily built in. So real or imagined, that becomes the excuse to not get into treatment.
For a guy who sees himself as very disciplined and in control, you have given up.
At this point, I would say yes, I have. As far as have I had suicidal thoughts? Yes, of course you have. You know, who wants to live a life like this? But at the same time, I have a family and a child that depends upon me.
Their drug has become their lover, their crutch, their coping mechanism. You create a story that keeps you there.
Jeff knows he created his own story of addiction. He has yet to write a new chapter where he'll get out alive.